Hey, welcome to a new section. In this section, you're going to learn how to create programs which process existing files. In the previous section, we worked on programs which created new files. So let's begin. I'll invite you to first create a new empty folder. So currently I am in ChatGPT course directory where we placed our files which we worked in the previous section. Now somewhere here in the ChatGPT course directory, I'll right click and go to new directory and I'll just create a new directory, section 2, without spaces. Section 2, press OK, and then I'll double click section 2. So here is where we will work on the next programs. So in the section 2 folder. And then let's suppose that somewhere in a folder we have these 3 text files. So I have attached these 3 text files in the lecture resources, so please download them. And once you download them, you want to copy all 3. And so in your file system, you want to go to that path. So in my case, it's C users AS ChatGPT, so AS ChatGPT course, and then section 2. So I want to paste these here, right? And so now these files should be here as well. So perhaps you need to go back one folder and then double click on section 2. So you want to have these 3 files in here. So these are text files. Why am I giving these to you? Well, if you click any of these, we have some text here, and this text contains several sentences, but there is a problem. So each sentence starts with a lowercase letter, so it's not a capital letter how it's supposed to be. So we want to create a program which fixes that issue. So the program we will create will capitalize the first letter of each sentence. So we have multiple sentences here. For example, that's the second sentence. It also starts with a lowercase letter, and there is another sentence as well. There we go, all belong to the cuneiform, etc. And then we have the other text files, Hippo, which has the exact same problem. So there is like a systematic error here. All the sentences start with a lowercase. So is the case for reno.txt. So you get the idea. What we want to do now is we want to go to ChatGPT, create a new chat, and we want to ask ChatGPT to create a Python program. And that Python program should be able to capitalize the first letter of each sentence of each file. So here we have only 3 files, right? But that's just an example, so the script, the program will work with any number of files. But 3 is just for the sake of simplicity, of teaching you how this is done. So let's go to ChatGPT and show you how to create queries, which create programs that modify existing files. So with the previous programs which generated new files, we started the query something like I want to create 100 text files, right? But when you modify existing files, you first want to describe what you have currently, right? You want to say I have multiple text files. And even better, it would be to specify the name of the directory where these files are. So for that, I would suggest you, it's even better to go to your file system again. So I am inside section 2 here, right? ChatGPT course section 2, and I want to create a new folder here. So new folder. I want to say files, right? Or data, whatever you like to call this. So I'll just say files, and then I'll drag these, I'll select these and place them inside the files folder. So now I have these inside files, and this is section 2, right? So now I can be more specific here. I want to say I have multiple files in a folder named files. So we are explaining to this programmer the input we have and where that input is located. So we have multiple text files. So what and where. What and where. Named files, right? And then you want to explain what each of these text files contain, right? Each text file contains text, and then you start explaining the problem. So, but the sentences start with a lowercase letter. So that is the problem statement. And then you describe what you want to do. So the input up to here, what you have, the problem statement, and then I want to convert the first letter of each sentence of each file, right, to uppercase. So lowercase, small letter, uppercase, capital letters. That's it, and then you know it's write me a Python script for that. That's it. Press enter and wait for the response of ChatGPT. As usual, you will get this description, then the code, so wait for the code to finish. After this, you'll get the description. So copy the code, go to Thony, and this is telling me that badger.txt was moved, so that happened when I placed the files inside this files folder. So you want to press yes here, or no, anyway, yes. Or you can also close them manually here if you pressed yes. So the idea is that now you should be inside the section2 folder, right? And make sure that inside the section2 folder you have this files folder as well, which has these 3 files, right? Now don't go inside files, so you want to be in section2 folder, and in section2 you want to right click here and you want to go to new file, and let's say lecture1.py, and paste the code of ChatGPT in here. So normally you should see this line here, directory is equal to files. So because we told ChatGPT that our folder is named files, so files, then ChatGPT has created a program which now will process the files inside the files folder, so the folder named files, right? So if I press save now, so the file will be displayed in here. So that's the file, lecture1.py, and that's the files directory. So that's the configuration we should see. Now let's run lecture1.py. So run, and we get these 3 arrows, and let's go inside files to check if the sentences are fixed. So there we go, Badger is now with a capital B, and let's check the second sentence. Again, badgers. There was a third sentence as well, all, belong, etc. So A is also capital, and hippo, yeah, we have a capital T here. Same goes for the second sentence. Let's check reno.txt, there we go. Capital R, capital A. So as you can see, everything has worked perfectly. So that's how you can create programs with ChatGPT to process multiple text files, existing text files. So again, the formula is to first explain what input you have. So that was the input up to here, right? That's the problem statement, but the sentences start with a lowercase letter. So that's your problem. And then you want to specify what you want to achieve. And then lastly, you want to specify that you want a Python script. And that's the formula. So thanks a lot for following this. In the next videos, we'll process other types of files such as Excel and CSV. So I'll see you in the next videos. Thanks. Hey, welcome to a new lecture on how to use ChatGPT to create a program which merges or concatenates multiple text files, meaning that let's say we have these 3 text files inside this files folder. So badger.txt, this has some content, the other file has some other content, so the program should be able to get the content of each of these 3 text files and create one single file which will contain the text of all the files, right? That's what we want to do. So for that, make sure you are inside section 2 folder, and so in section 2 we have the files directory, and we have this lecture1.py which was from the previous lecture. Now in this area here we want to right click and go to new file and write lecture2.py. Press OK, and then open ChatGPT. So you want to create a new chat. And let's try to apply the formula which I introduced you in the previous lecture. So the first part is describing the input, what you have so far. So I have multiple text files in a folder named files. So that's a folder named files, and we have multiple text files. Each text file contains some text. So that's the description of the inputs you have. Now, should you write a problem statement here? No, because we don't really have an issue we want to fix here. So you can just leave it as such. And then you can jump in the next sentence, which is I want. So you describe what you want to do. I want to merge those text files into one single text file. And then you can decide whether you want to give more details to these or this is enough. So always try to think as this ChatGPT is a programmer, so a human. So do you think that human would understand you, what you want to do given this query? So do you think that they will know what merging text files means, right? Or do you need to add more details? And there's no right formula for that, but in this case I think this is very clear what the program is supposed to do. So I'll just say write me a Python script for that and press enter to execute. So there we go. ChatGPT is typing the code, so there's the files directory. And I can see that ChatGPT is going to create a merged underscore text.txt file, which is the output file. So you can read these comments if you like, although that's not necessary. So all you have to do is copy the code. So the typing has completed, so I'll copy the code, go to Thony. In lecture2.py, which is here, I'll paste that code, right? So if I press the save button, now I should see lecture2.py displayed here, and then I'm ready to run it. So before you run it, make sure that, of course, you have the files directory here. So that's the configuration of the directory structure. And so let's run. There we go, 3 arrows. It means the execution was completed. So we can go back one folder and then to section 2 again, and you should see merged underscore text.txt. If you click that, then we should see all the text concatenated. Now, what's the order of the text, of the pieces of text here? Well, the order, in my case, it starts from badgers. So first, Python got the badgers.txt text and placed it in merged underscore text, and then it went to the next file, hippo, in an alphabetic order, right? So Python is processing the files depending on what the first letter is, so alphabetic order. So the text for badger first, then hippo, then Rhino. There we go. That's the concatenated file. And that's the query we had this time. So thanks for following this, I hope you're learning a lot, and I'll see you in the next videos. Hey, welcome to a new video. In this video you'll learn how to use ChatGPT to create a Python program which processes multiple Excel files. By processing I mean modifying each Excel file, for example adding a new column which is the product of other two columns. So let's look at an example. So I want you to please go to the resources of this lecture and download these three files from there. Then, in Thony, we have the section 2 directory, right? Now, in this directory, I want to create a new directory called Excel_files. So please use the same name, just to be in line with what I'm doing here. So there we go, we have created an empty Excel_files directory. We want to place those files inside this directory now. So I'll do that from my Windows Explorer. So I'll copy these. So I hope you downloaded them. So you want to copy them and then go to that directory that you see in Thony. So in my case, that's C users as ChatGPT course section 2 Excel_files. So paste the files in there. Right, so if I expand Excel files now, I should see these three XLSX files. Now, what do these files contain? So let's open the first one. That's what we have. We have a header, employee and monthly salary. So these two are the labels for the two columns, the employee column and the monthly salary column. So we have John Smith, which has this monthly salary, and Andy Smith, which has this other salary. And the other files are similar, so they have a similar structure, two columns, employee and monthly salary, and that's the names of the employee and the salary. So please do not modify the Excel files. And the third file as well, employee monthly salary, John Smith, that salary, Andy Smith, that salary. So it's just some sample files. Now what we want to do is we want to add a new column. So we want to create a program which adds a new column called annual salary, and that column will be equal to the monthly salary value times 12. So we will calculate the annual salary based on the monthly salary, and we'll do that for all the files at once. So this is a very good example on how you can use ChatGPT to batch process many files, many Excel files in seconds. So let's go to ChatGPT, and you know the formula now. So we want to explain what you have currently. So the input, I have multiple Excel files in a folder named, so you want to give the exact name of the folder here, so make sure to have the name correctly. So in my case it is Excel_files, Excel_files. So then you want to explain what each of these Excel files contain. Each Excel file contains two columns, an employee column and a monthly salary column. Now here you want to be very careful with the names of your columns. So the names have to match exactly the names of your columns in the actual files. So make sure to double check that. So employee, monthly salary, so there's a space between monthly and salary, it's not an underscore. So you want to make sure about that, because the program then will use these names to process your Excel columns. Also, you want to be very specific with the case of the letters. So if your employee column has all lowercase. You cannot have here employee with capital E because that will not work. So things are case sensitive here. And of course the same goes with any name. So file names, folder names, column names, everything has to match exactly to describe what your input data are. Right, so that we explained the input data. Now, do we have a problem here in the sense that do we want to fix something in the data? No, it's not really a problem, it's something we want to do. So you can go and explain what you want to do. I want to add a new annual salary column to each Excel file, right? And then you want to proceed with explaining what this annual salary column should have as value. The annual salary column should be equal to monthly salary times 12, right? So we give a formula here, just using natural language. And that's all you need to describe your problem. So you want to reread this, what you wrote here, make sure that a human would understand that. If a human understands it, so does ChatGPT. So conclude your query with write me a Python script for that and press enter to execute. So there we go, we get the script being printed out in here. That's the folder Excel files that reflects the name of the folder I gave in here in my query. So there we go. Let's copy this code. Go to Thony. Let's close everything we've got here and let's write. So I am in section 2 folder. So in here I'll create a new file, lecture3.py. Place the code there, save, and you've got this lecture3.py in here. So in the same directory we have Excel files folder, so lecture3 Excel files. Now let's run this and you're gonna get an error and we'll fix that error in the next video. So run. There we have the error, so that's the entire error. That means things didn't work out in here. So if you go back one folder, go to section 2 again, you'll not see any changes. Even if you open your input files, so I'm in the Excel files directory here, so if I open input1.xlsx, there's no annual salary column here. Why? That's because we got an error this time, so there was a problem. But there's nothing to worry about, we'll fix this problem in the next video. I'll give you the instructions on how to easily fix these kinds of errors. So that's something new you'll learn in the next video. I'll see you there. Hey, welcome back. In the previous video, we tried to execute this code, but we got this error. Now, I want to explain you why you got this error and how to fix it. So the entire error is the one in red and also blue here. But what's important for you to read is only the last line. So let's read the last line and try to understand what it means. So it says module not found error, no module named pandas. And if you look at your code, you'll see import pandas here. So what is pandas? Pandas is a module. OS is also a module, right? And we import these modules. And think of modules as extensions, so these are Python extensions. But some extensions, such as OS, come installed with Python. However, other extensions such as pandas need to be installed separately. So to install now this module, this extension, you need to go to Tools and then go to Manage Packages. And then you want to search for pandas. So type in pandas, go to this button, search on PyPy, and then you want to locate the extension which has the exact name with what the error is explaining here. So you see it's pandas. So that's a pandas extension, this one here. It's not pandas 2, it's not pandas 3, pandas alchemy or anything else, but it's pandas. So you want to click on that. And you should see this more or less, and you'll see this button. So you want to click on the install button. And the installation process will start. So pandas is being installed. You'll know it finished installing when this button here changes to something else. You'll see in just a bit. So there we go. Now we see this upgrade button. So the install button is not here anymore. That means pandas was installed, so you can press on close. And now we're ready to run the program again. But be aware that again we'll get another error. So there we go. This time, again, you want to read the last line of the error. Don't worry about the other lines. So you don't need to know these, right? Only read the last error. So this time we have an import error. Missing optional dependency, OpenPyXL. Now, OpenPyXL is known as a dependency. So when you get this type of error, missing optional dependency, you know that you're missing a dependency. And when you get the previous error, which was something like module was not found, you know that you are missing a module. So in both cases, the good news is that you can install these. So again, you want to copy this OpenPyXL, go to Tools, Manage Packages, paste the name of that dependency there with Ctrl V, search on PyPy, go to that OpenPyXL, so make sure to reflect the exact name. Usually you'll see those in bold, the actual result in bold. So click there, click on install. So it was installed on my computer. I'll press on close and then run the script again. This time we have a module missing, XLSX So again, you want to repeat the process. So this happens when you are working with proprietary file extensions such as Excel, for example. You need some dependencies. Usually you'll not need those dependencies with things like text files or CSV files. So let's install this also. Manage packages, paste that there, XLSX writer, search on the repository. So that's the module. Press on install, press on close, and let's run again. Right, now this may look like an error, but it's not an error actually. So this is just some information. That means we're now ready to see the XLX files, how they have been updated. So for that, you want to go to your Windows Explorer, open one of the files, and yeah, there we go. We have a new column, annual salary, which is 12,000. So 1,000 times 12, we get 12,000. Same for this, 2,000 times 12, we get 24,000. And that's the case for all the other Excel files. So there we go. For this one as well. So it's working. And so this was a good lecture on showing you how to install modules and dependencies. So if you get some red things here, don't panic, try to read the last line. So if it says a module is missing or a dependency is missing, then you want to copy the name of that module or dependency, go to Tools, Manage Packages, paste it, install it, run again until it works. Sometimes you may get some warnings like this one here, but don't worry, that's just a warning for the future. So that was about how to process Excel files. Let's move on with more videos. See you. Hey, in this video you learn how to merge Excel files with ChatGPT and Python. Multiple Excel files in one single Excel file. So let's begin. As input Excel files, we will use the same files we were working on in the previous video. So if you don't have these files, please find them attached in the lecture resources. I'll show you how they look like from the inside. So you want to make sure these files are inside the Excel_files directory. So here they are. I can also show you from my file system here. So each of them, if I open them, they'll look something like this, right? So each file has 3 columns: employee, monthly salary, annual salary, and the same goes for the other files. So the requirement here is that all the files should have the same structure, the same column names, the same number of columns, but the rows can be different. So the resulted file will be one single file containing the name of the column, and in our case the merged file will contain 6 rows. So these 2 rows, these 2, and these 2 as well, so 6 rows in total. Now we'll use 3 Excel files for this program, but the program of course can work with any number of files. So let's begin. I'm inside section 2 here, so make sure you are also inside section 2 directory, and I've got this Excel files directory here, right? So now I can create a new file, a new Python file here. But let's go to ChatGPT first to create that script, and then we put that script in Thony. So again, you want to describe your input data, your input files. I have multiple Excel files in a directory or folder if you like. It's the same thing. So the name is important, Excel_files. Don't forget the underscore. The name should be exactly as what you see here. So we are describing that the files are inside this directory, and the directory has these exact names, so with lowercase letters here as well. So we do this top-down approach where we describe the folder first, and then we describe what each file contains. I could say here they all contain the same columns. So it's not necessary in this case to mention the column names of each file, right? But it could be beneficial for ChatGPT to know that the structure of the files is the same, so this will help ChatGPT in taking a decision how to merge that file. So there we described what we've got, the existing data and files, and then we want to say what we want to do. I want to merge the Excel files into one single Excel file containing the data of all files. And then write me a Python script for that. That's it, press enter, and let's wait for the script. Note that ChatGPT is again using the pandas library, so pandas is the extension that makes it possible to work with Excel files in Python. Now, you'd ask, do we need to install pandas? No, because you already installed that in the previous video, I suppose. you did that already. So that means we can just copy this code. First, make sure that the typing has been completed for the code area, right? It's been completed in my case because ChatGPT is working on these lines. So I can copy the code, go to Thony, create a new .py file here. So make sure that the file is created in section 2 folder, and then make sure that there is an Excel files in this folder. So somewhere here, right click, go to new file, lecture 4.py, press enter, paste that code. And yeah, that's the directory, Excel files. So this directory is the one in here. And since lecture4.py is located in the same directory with this directory, that means I'll have no errors for this script. So you can save or you can run directly. If you save it, you'll see the file here. Then you can run, whatever you prefer. So there we go, we got this arrows, that means the script was executed. So let's do a refresh by going back and then going forward to section 2 again, and that's our merged underscore file .xlsx. That's the output file. So you should also see for a file named maybe similar like mine, but maybe different. What's important is the content of that file. So let's locate that file in our file system. Merged underscore file, which is inside the section 2 folder. So let's go to my file system. So section 2 folder, this one here. Let's see, yeah, there we go. Merged underscore file .xlsx, double click it, and that's our output. So that's the expected output. The correct output, we have these 3 columns: employee, monthly salary, annual salary, and we have the merged data here. So these are the rows of the first input1.xlsx file, these are the rows of the second input, and these are the rows of the third input file. So let me close that. Good job, ChatGPT, and yeah, you're also doing a great job. So thanks for following so far. We have some more interesting automations to perform with ChatGPT and Python. So I'll see you in the next videos. Hey, welcome back. In my section 2 directory, I have a stockholm.csv file here. You can find this file attached in the lecture resources. So let me show you what this file is. So if I go to my section 2 folder in my file system, so a CSV file can be opened with Excel, it can also be opened with a simple text editor. So if I double click it, most likely it will open it with Excel or another spreadsheet program. So this file looks like this. Basically, it does have these columns with data. Now, what we want to do is, we want to create a program which will edit the TG column. So this is supposed to be the temperature, so temperature observations for each row, but the temperature has been multiplied by 10. So the real temperature actually should be this number here divided by 10. So let's do that. Let's modify this TG column by dividing each of its values by 10. So this is a good opportunity for you to understand how to work with CSV files with ChatGPT and Python. So let's go to ChatGPT, create a new chat, and describe your input files as usual. So I have a stockholm.csv file, right? Put it in quotes, that's better. Make sure that the name is correct, Stockholm. So Stockholm, that's very important. So the file has a TG column. I want to divide all values of that column by 10. Write me a Python script for that. Yeah, that's it. Press enter. Then you'll notice that this time ChatGPT may use the CSV extension. So not pandas. Pandas was used for Excel. Pandas can also be used with CSV files. So it's also likely that in your case, ChatGPT may be using pandas instead of CSV, and that's fine. But if you've got import CSV here, then you know that there are different extensions to do the same job. So I'll copy this. Go to Thonny. So I'm in section 2. Here is my stockholm.csv file, and then in this directory I right click, go to new file, name this lecture5.py, press enter, paste the code. So that's the script. Now if I execute this, I've got no errors. So CSV is included with Python. You don't need to install it as we did with pandas. So we went to tools, manage packages, and we installed pandas because pandas was an extension which had to be installed separately. That is not the case with CSV. If it was the case, you'd have gotten an error here saying that CSV module is missing, then you'd go to tools and manage packages and install it. So we executed this, then you want to do a refresh, so go back, go to section 2 again, and yeah, now I can see a Stockholm underscore updated.csv file. I can also see in the code here that this was trying to create a Stockholm underscore updated.csv file, and it managed to do so, so the file was successfully generated. But let's check the content inside. So there we go, in my file system. I'll double click that, and yeah, that's the updated file. As you can see, the values of the TG column now are decimal point numbers, for example minus 8.7, so that's supposed to be Celsius degrees, and yeah, we've got the same for every row, and that's many rows. So dozens of thousands, more than 36,000 rows. Each of them has been updated. So you can also do this with Excel, right? But with ChatGPT and Python, you're also able to do this like in a batch operative manner. So perhaps you had multiple files, multiple CSV files, which you'd need to modify the TG column of all of those CSV files. So ChatGPT and Python would be very powerful to do that. And that's about this lecture. So thanks a lot. See you in the next ones. Please find attached a zip file which contains 400 text files. So I want you to please unzip those files and then copy those files. Copy them all and then go to your section 2 directory. So section 2 is where we were working on in Thonny, right? Section 2. So in your Windows Explorer or Mac Finder, locate that folder. In my case, it would be section 2. Inside section 2, I'll create a new folder. I'll just name this text underscore files and paste those 400 files into this directory. So now we can see those files from here as well. So text files, you can expand that, and if you open any of these, you'll get some bunch of data. That's not important. What we're concerned about in this video is we will put these into some zip files. The rule is this: ChatGPT will create a program for us, and that program will place the first 10 text files into one separate zip file. So the file that ends with 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in one separate zip file, and then 11 up to 20 in another separate zip file, then 21 up to 30 in another file, and so on. So we will create a zip file based on the names of these text files. So that's an intelligent rule, which would be too boring to do it by hand, to just select all those files one by one or 10 by 10 and then create zip files. So let's see how we can do that with ChatGPT. So my files are inside this text underscore files directory, so we're ready to write the query using a new chat. So I have 400 files. You can say 400, you can specify the number or not. It's not really important, but it does make the query more explicit. So we do have 400 items here actually. So 400 items. So I'll just specify that. 400 text files in a directory named text underscore files. So make sure this reflects the name of your directory in Thonny. Lowercase letters. And I want now to give some more details on these files. So we are concerned about the files themselves, not about the data inside the files. So we are concerned about the files and the names of the files. The names of the files here are important because they define the rule how the files will be zipped. So we've got names in this rule, right? So let me copy one of them. To do that, you can right click, go to rename, and you can copy that file name by pressing Ctrl C in your keyboard or Command C, or you can type that down manually. So that's the name. So I can say the files are named like this, and then another file like this. I'll write 2 here, and so on, you can say. So you are letting ChatGPT understand the naming convention of your files. And then you can say, I want to place files 01 to, and here you specify 10. So you remove the last 2 digits and write 10 in one separate zip file. Then you say this and you replace that to 1. So the 11 to, that would be 20 in another separate zip file, and so on. So that's the rule. So do you think that someone else, your friend or another programmer, would understand what you're trying to do given this query? I think they will do it. So what I'll do now is I'll just say write me a Python script for that and press enter. So there we go. ChatGPT is using zip file. Now this is installed with Python, so you'll not have to install an extra extension here. So let's wait for the typing to be completed. So it's completed in my case. I'll copy the code, go to Thonny. So make sure you are inside section 2 where your text underscore files is located. So don't go inside text files, so you shouldn't do that. You should be inside section 2, and here you want to create a new file. Let's name this lecture6.py. Press enter, paste the code. So it points to the text underscore files directory, which is here. So we're ready to execute this script. It will take a while, so yeah, now it's completed. So let's check. Let's go back. And then section 2 again. See, there we go. We've got the zip files. So it's about 40 of them. So there we go. And let's go to the file system. In section 2, this is where my zip files were generated. So let's check one of the files. Let's go to batch 15. So batch 15, 188, 197, right? Let's check batch 16. 198, 207. So it seems like ChatGPT didn't understand us very well here. So in that case, don't worry, you can go back to your chat and then follow up with another query. Because as far as I can see, what ChatGPT did is it stepped through every 10 files. So it didn't look at the actual names. So from 1 to 10 we have all the numbers without any missing file name. But then from 11 to 20, for example, we do have some missing files, such as 17 is not there, 18 is not there. But what ChatGPT did is it just got 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So all the 10 files here, so a batch of 10 files. So if you want to do this based on the numbers, on the names, you want to follow up with a question. The follow-up query should be looking like this. The first part should be you telling ChatGPT what ChatGPT did wrong. You created the zip files in batches of 10 files. And then give some more details on what the problem is. Try to explain why ChatGPT did it wrong. So you didn't look at the file names. The file names have a number before the .txt extension. The number is important. Files with numbers 1 to 10 should be inside a zip file. Numbers 11 to 20 should be inside another zip file. So this time we try to be more detailed in our query. So the number before the .txt extension is very important. Rewrite the Python script and press enter. So the typing was completed, so let's copy the code. Go to Thony. Let's delete those batch.zip files first. So now I'll go here, press Shift and the down arrow key and then delete those. So they are gone now. So in lecture 6.py I'll select this code and paste the new code here. Yeah, that's it, and execute again. So here are the files. You can also show them in here by going back and forth. So let's check number 1. It's from 1 to 10. Let's check number 2, 11 to 16. Number 3, 25 to 30. Yep, that looks good. 36 to 40, so everything seems to be working fine this time. And yeah, that's something very important to learn, that not always you get it right with the first time. So follow-up queries are very important, and you should try to be very persistent. And it's good also if you just repeat your explanations, such as what I did here. For example, the file names have a number before the txt extension. The number is important, and then I repeated that again, so the number before the .txt extension is very important. So that basically increases the weight of this statement. So we have it 2 times here, 1 here and 1 here. And then, just like a human would do, if you repeat something 2 times to a person, then it's more likely that they will put more importance to that statement. So always think of ChatGPT as another person, which can make errors, but they can also fix those errors, as they did with this example. So thanks a lot for following so far. I'm very glad you're here, and I'll see you in the next videos. See you.